been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
What is up, guys? We are back after another interesting week in the NFL. College football playoffs are set. MLB. All the news that we have for this week, and here we are, the three of us again, back together to talk about it. How you guys doing?
Ugh.
Good.
Might go to my first Saints game this Sunday against the Jets. You know, I might drive up to New York. You know, it's actually New Jersey, but depending if it rains or not. But we'll see what happens. I wanted my first game to be in New Orleans, but you know, if I can catch a win in the Jets, you know, why not? Why not?
I was going to say, yeah, why not take an opportunity for potential win? I mean, you know what, though? How many people went to the Vikings game at Detroit and expected the Vikings to just plow over the freaking Detroit Lions?
Hey, probably a lot of people. You know
what, though? I feel bad for both those teams. You think about it, because Detroit, how many games have they could have won so many of those games.
They should have,
that they
I would say, at least 4 to 5 wins. You think about the first 4 to 5 weeks, I think the 3 of them they should have won. They lost by like last minute field goals.
Yeah. And the Vikings on the other side can very well have 8 wins too. You know, it's
record-setting field goal.
Yeah, this has been a crazy season, no matter how you look at it. I mean, you think about it. 4 weeks ago we had Buffalo as a top seed in the AFC. Kansas City was last, and now it's flipped.
Now Kansas City's like what, 8-4?
And would they win 5 in a row now? I mean,
well,
there's a lot of teams actually. A couple teams. You know, it's not how you start; it's how you finish. Like look at not Tampa Bay. Look at Miami. They were 1-7. They've won 5 in a row now, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
Washington's been winning a lot. The Patriots and the Patriots have a tough one tonight against Buffalo.
You know, though, the thing about Kansas City though is it's their defense that's carrying them. Since they got healthy, they're not giving up a lot of points.
Patrick Mahomes is scoring though.
Their offense is actually it hasn't scored. What was that one stat? They haven't scored more than 20 points, and like I think they did once in one of their last 5 games. They scored 20 points or more.
Mahomes didn't score a passing touchdown in like consecutive games too.
They're 8-4. It's the best record in the AFC, but they're 3-4 versus the AFC.
Wow,
which it's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
I was watching the game too. If you look at Tyreek Hill, he's having an interesting season. I'm seeing him drop a lot of passes lately too. That team's we said a lot of bad things about that team, and you know they're not perfect by any means, but they're turning around for definitely competing for that division. But I tell you what, I personally believe the Patriots put a beating on the Bills tonight. That's my pick to go to the Super Bowl.
If there's an asterisk, Chris, tied to that.
I'll tell you right now, it's going to be an ugly game. They're playing in Buffalo.
Yeah.
It's calling for I think it's
they're calling for rain and 25 to 30 mile an hour winds. It's going to be a sloppy game.
This game to me seems way too obvious that the Patriots should win this, especially if it's going to be a sloppy game. Just look, who are the running backs?
I think Buffalo's the favorite.
What's the Patriots' game plan?
Yeah.
What's the Patriots best? They're best at doing what on offense? Running the football. What are the Bills best at doing on offense? Passing the ball. So what do you think the Bills defense is best at doing on defense? Probably pass attack, maybe rushing, but they're going to be out without Tre'Davious White. It's like when you're going against an elite passer, you're going to try to improve as a defense on that side versus rushing. They got absolutely beat up by the Titans.
Well, Tre'Davious White's out, isn't he? Didn't he get injured at the Saints game?
Yep.
And you know what?
This seems too obvious. The Bills they're not going to lose by a lot, but I just don't know how they hang with them if it's.
Hey, Buffalo's -3
conditions.
in the favorite right now.
Yeah,
if I'm saying that right, because I don't know if I'm saying that right.
They're favored by 3,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
New England has done a great job this year of making Mac Jones like an underneath quarterback. I mean, he's one of the most consistent quarterbacks as far as completions go in the NFL. It's because his dink and his dunks, and there's nothing wrong with that. They did the same thing with Brady. And if I was a defensive coordinator, I would load the box and say, you're going to have to beat me over the top eventually. And with 25 to 30 mile an hour winds, it's not happening tonight.
Yeah.
8-4 versus 7-4. This could very well be for the division.
The last team to beat New England was the Dallas Cowboys in New England.
You know else who beat the Patriots in New England? The New Orleans Saints. But we also had our quarterback during that stretch. I'm telling you, this is going to be a very interesting game, very good game. as much as I want to say if the Patriots win, they're my Super Bowl favorites. I feel like Buffalo is favored. You're at home. You're comfortable in your home. The Bills Mafia. Come on, the Bills Mafia is a different hit.
Who are your winners and losers for the week? I mean, you look at it.
Oh, I'm glad you asked that.
Who are your winners and losers? I mean, I can give you 3 winners, 4 winners actually off the top. Kansas City's a winner.
Can we
Chargers.
call it like who's in the doghouse or who is
we'll
extra
get there.
free time?
Yeah.
Extra, yeah.
The Chargers are a winner. I mean, they beat a good Cincinnati team, and that's a close race. Detroit definitely a winner. I mean, they got their first win.
Yeah.
I'll give you my
Miami is definitely a winner.
I'll give you my one winner, my one loser. My one winner, Washington football team. They're beating teams left and right, and they're making it very interesting for Dallas. They play Dallas 2 more times.
Pick.
My loser of the week, the Ravens.
Oh yeah, Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Ravens are very high in that division. You know, I think that they should have beat the Patriots, not the Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sorry, you go for a 2-point conversion, you don't get it. The Ravens, man, are just so inconsistent.
Well,
it's
Since
That's
the end of October, Lamar Jackson's in the bottom 5 of quarterback ratings.
I believe it.
Statistically, it's almost like what you look at Taysom Hill's contract. Lamar Jackson's still trying to fight out to get a contract. Does that end up being close to Taysom Hill will never sniff that dollar amount, but
No.
what do you do with Lamar if this continues?
I don't know. I mean, you look at it last night. He missed his tight end who was wide open.
I don't think
Yes,
I don't
lots
think
of
it's
times.
I don't think it's a fear that maybe we move on from Lamar. You think about the Ravens
I
the past
wouldn't.
couple of years, they've been dominant. I mean, they're still 8-4 and first in their division. I think if they would have beat the Steelers, I think they possibly would have locked up that division at 9-4 right now.
Look, I say this.
I mean,
over and over
they would have
again.
been 9-3. I'm sorry, excuse me, 9-3.
I say this over and
Yeah.
over again. Lamar's weapons, it's his legs. And don't get me wrong, he's got by far probably the strongest arm besides Allen as far as arm strength. He can zip it, but he's inconsistent.
If I'm not mistaken, though, they're missing some injuries. I mean,
they
they haven't
got,
had a
yeah.
start in you think about the running back
They just-
situation.
they just lost
They're using
Humphries.
Devontae Freeman.
Well, and that's the thing. They're down to their 3rd or 4th string running backs. I mean, they
Yeah.
didn't even have Freeman or
I
Matt
mean,
Murray on the
those aren't
roster.
necessarily even third string running backs. Those are pickups. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
Marquise Brown's been dealing with injuries all year. I'm not trying to give him excuses. I think Lamar just doesn't, have the best decision skills sometimes. But they're still 8-4, first in their division. I don't think it's a clock tick in your head saying I need to get rid of Lamar. I think that they're still a good organization with Lamar at the head of the huddle there. But that's just my view.
You know what though? Watching the game last night or the afternoon, watching that afternoon's one because it was prime time. It's just hard to see how almost one-dimensional he's turned out the last handful of weeks.
I gotta tell you, my other star up though, are winner, the Dolphins. I think Brian Flores' job is safe now. Tua, the last 4 games, Tua has a passer rating over 100.
He threw for 244 yards, 2 touchdowns.
And no one's talking about him. I mean, he's having a pretty good bounce back to his season.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Miami ended the season hot last year. If they can just start the season hot, they could be a really good contender in that division.
I just think the whole Tua being injured this year, the drama around Tua and Deshaun Watson, I think that plays a big factor. Like I said, before we got on here, they were 1-7. They've won 5 in a row. Waddle's been hot with Tua. Tua's averaging good yardage. I think that I don't know if the Dolphins are going to go to playoffs, nothing like that, but the Dolphins, I think Tua should be the quarterback. I think he's showing that he can be the quarterback. I said it's difficult to go into an organization and you hear rumors that we might want Watson. I think it's difficult to know if you don't even know if the organization wants you as a quarterback.
Dolphins are only 1 game out right now. They're 6-7. They're 1 game behind the Chargers.
Ooh.
That's a weird.
Yeah.
That's a weird ownership. The Dolphins. Like I don't know how I'd feel if every time it would come out. I would want an organization to keep things behind the scenes a little bit and not let stuff out in the air. Even
100%.
with like Watson, especially when that case, like you notice how nobody's talking about it now because like there's still appearances that need to be had next year, I think.
Yeah.
Within the legal system. So
Well,
that's hashed out.
my 2 more losers that I have is the Giants. The Giants wideouts haven't scored a touchdown since week 7. They've been outscored this year 52-0 in the last 2 minutes of the first half.
Yeah,
I mean, that's crazy.
Whoa.
And my other one is Matt Rule. What are you doing? You fired probably the hottest offensive coordinator probably that come into the pro football.
Is he
You
the one
fired
that fired
Joe
him?
Brady. You fired Joe Brady.
Is he the one that fired him?
Yeah.
Does a head coach have the power to fire somebody?
Absolutely. I mean, look at Judge just fired Jason Garrett. Joe Brady was like the flavor of the month, man. What he did at LSU and what it's just amazing. Great offensive coordinator. That guy's gonna have a job in a week. You know,
That must have been, that was that today? News came out today.
He was a former
Yeah.
Saints assistant and LSU coach, right?
yeah. And you know what's funny is they said that they had an argument because Rule wants the offense to be running the ball 30 to 35 times a game. That is so 1980s football. You don't see that anymore.
That
And,
thing,
and you think about it, Joe Brady has had to deal with 3 different quarterbacks this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not his fault.
I'm intrigued to see who they put in there. You were talking about
I mean,
the
unless you have a running back like Jay Taylor, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
No need to run the ball 30. Or honestly, hey, those Cowboys, you get Pollard and Elliott touching the ball 15 times apiece. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Elliott hasn't done crap. He's hurt.
You were talking about the Giants situation. The Giants situation is very interesting if you're looking into. You have Daniel Jones go down with a concussion, I think. Now, Mike Glennon starts, does not play well. He's injured now, right? Saquon is doing absolutely nothing, only 55 yards and 11 carries. But now this is very interesting because now they picked up Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm, very good quarterback at Georgia.
Never got a shot.
He never got a shot because Josh Allen was ahead of him. Now, his last year in Georgia, looked up his stats real quick. His last year in Georgia, he threw for almost 3,000 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. He was a very good quarterback at Georgia.
I liked him.
Now, I said to my buddy today, who's a Giants fan,
Efficient.
I said, if Jake Fromm goes out there and he shines these last 5 games, maybe he wins 3 out of the 5, 2 out of the 5, but he looks good, right? He's producing. Obviously, you don't have a lot of weapons to win all those games.
He makes the camp next
Do
year.
you build around that and don't try and draft a quarterback? Because Daniel Jones isn't the option anymore. Mike Glennon is definitely not the option.
Well, you look at the
This is a hot take.
You look at the quarterbacks for coming out of the draft next year. Was it Bryce Young from Alabama? He's probably going to win the Heisman.
Yeah, but is he coming? Is he going in the draft? Isn't he only a junior?
If you win the Heisman, you're like if you have look at the standings of where you're going to go in the draft, you almost have to.
Yeah, and there is not a very reliable option right now coming out of the quarterback situation in the draft.
And I think the kid from Pittsburgh, I think he threw for
Pittsburgh and
4,000
Nevada's a hot
yards
one.
and 40 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's not a good.
Pickett.
Yeah.
Yes, Pickett.
And now it comes also back for the Giants, the whole Saquon Barkley thing. If I am in the Giants organization, I think I'd let Saquon walk.
That's a hot take I was thinking about on the way home today for both of you guys. You think about all the running backs that have been drafted high in the last couple of years. Ezekiel Elliott, Barkley. Who else? Who else has been high?
Well, Nick Chubb was the second-round pick.
I mean, look at these
Derrick
guys. I
Henry,
mean, they got their money
Dalvin
and they're not
Cook.
doing nothing.
I think the only one that's truly been playing well, I would say Zeke. Zeke's been a little slow this year,
He's
but
been beat up.
my thing with the Saquon Barkley situation, in my opinion, is Saquon has played one full season, rookie year. I think when Saquon is healthy, I think he's a top 10 running back, hands down. I think I don't have money to pay him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not offering Saquon $80 million. I'm sorry, I'm not. I think I'd
agree.
let him walk. If Jake Fromm does well, I can easily go get another running back.
Who do you think could be more valuable, Aaron Jones or Saquon?
Oh,
I think
Aaron
Green
Jones.
Bay signed it. Yes, but really? 'Cause I
100%.
think Saquon, if you can get him in the, I would think Aaron Jones is a better pass catcher, but it's not like Saquon can't catch. I just think this offense, if you have Saquon, it'd be like McCaffrey.
That's the question, though.
Add him the stats.
That's the
I know
thing.
he's-
If you have Saquon, though,
But he can't stay on the field.
yeah, that's true. It's
as much as I
dependability.
think Saquon's a good running back, I'm taking Aaron Jones all day. Aaron Jones has showed the production that he's able to do, the touchdowns, the touches, the receiving. But it's just
Yeah.
Saquon and it's not his fault.
'Cause-
He just can't stay healthy.
But look at
So
Zeke.
I wanted to say that they signed him to a 4-year, I think $60 or like $50 million deal.
Yeah.
Maybe 40. It wasn't that much for Aaron Jones. So I think that's like his benchmark. So I agree with you, Ty. No way he's getting 80.
No,
No
he's
way.
not. He's not. He's gonna hope he gets a second contract. But look at Zeke. He got his second contract, and the guy, what's he get? 5 carries a game, 6 carries a game, 7 games. But I mean, and then you have Pollard, who's making $1 million a year. So you could always find another running
That's what
back
I'm
to fill
saying.
that void.
And you would just talk about running backs that got paid. You look at Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, guys that have gotten paid. Alvin Kamara, those guys have put up stats. I'm not saying Saquon can't put up stats, but if you're not putting up the stats, if you're not putting up the production, if you can't stay off the injury bug, I'm sorry, but I'm not paying you like those guys. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say, maybe he could be like that, and then you're just in dead money because he can't stay off the sideline.
Well, the thing about running back is the running back position is so not used the way it was anymore, back in the day. So
Yes,
you
great
basically
point.
want to get that first contract, and then that's basically it. And what's the longevity of a running back's career? 5 years, 6 years in the NFL?
Absolutely.
So if Saquon's offered anything, you got to jump on it. The quarterback market next year, by the way, is going to be crazy with Lamar and with Aaron Rodgers and with the guy from Cleveland, Baker. I mean, you're going to have these guys that are going to be getting major money.
It's funny, like I'm like double playing myself
Yeah.
here. Like I'm talking all this trash, so I wouldn't give Saquon a lot of money. But if he hits free agency and I had the option to pay him a minimum contract, like a little, maybe 10 mil, 20 mil, I'd throw it out there, see if he take it.
And I'll tell you right now, if I'm the Chargers, I'm jumping all over an extension right now for Herbert before he gets the free agency. You don't want him to get that contract because
2 to 3 years from now, how much is he going to get paid?
You'd be paying $50 million for a quarterback.
Absolutely. But okay, because the position has changed so much for running back, I've asked this to Johnny all the time, and I do you think the contracts need to be different coming out of the draft for different positions? So like running back, maybe it's a 2 or 3 year contract versus a 5 year. Like, because aren't all the contracts a minimum, or it's like 5 years, but it's an opt out of 3 or something?
That's an interesting thought.
Look, if I was the owners of the NFL, I would come together and say, look, we got to draw a line in the sand. We got to start over again. We have to put incentives in all these deals. Stop giving all this guaranteed money away. You know what? You want $1 million. You get so many for, let's say you throw 15 touchdowns, you get $1 million. You throw 20 touchdowns, you get another $1 million. Make them. The only coach I ever saw do that was Mike Ditka did that with Williams as the running back in New Orleans. They didn't pay him a lot of money. They gave him a couple $100,000, and every time he did something, if he did something, he got an incentive-based pay then. That's how it should be.
I don't know, because we've had athletes on this podcast, and it's interesting to see their side of it. I don't necessarily mind the guaranteed money, because as a running back, you're guaranteed maybe 3 to 5 years. If you get injured, like, you're not making that money.
But how can you give guaranteed money to a player that's not hitting the field?
I know. It's a touchy subject, you know what I mean?
Plus, like, it's crazy, but now you got to start talking about offensive lines. Like, the Giants line probably sucks compared to...
It's actually better than it was before. They upgraded a lot of it.
Is it?
You think about the line that
well-
Saquon's had his whole life, Penn State, the Giants, like, he's had nothing really ever.
But we talked about this before we came on. I mean, just because you were good in college, I mean, look at all the quarterbacks that came out of Ohio State we talked about that got drafted high, and you don't even see any of them in the NFL.
JT Barrett.
I mean, it happens. I mean, you're only as good as you are as long. I mean, and then you have a kid, that Jonathan Taylor or whatever his name is, that no one's even heard of, and this kid is going to get the rushing title.
That's my thing. Like, you can. That's why I said if I'm the Giants, Jake Fromm looks good. All right, I'm moving on from a lot of these guys. These receivers, I'd keep Goddard. No, gosh, what is his name? They have a receiver. I can't remember right now. I feel really ashamed. But Galladay. I'd keep him. I'm moving on from Shepard. Can't stay healthy. And
Evan Ingram. I'd be trading some of these guys.
You can find running backs in the third,
Build around
fourth
Jake
round.
Fromm.
Look at Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara was a 4th or 5th round pick.
Well, right now the Giants have the 6th and the 7th pick in the draft.
Go get receivers. Get some offensive line. I said to my buddy, your first pick, you get a receiver. Your second pick, you get an offensive lineman.
But maybe you look at the contracts that they have. Maybe you trade a Shepard. Maybe you trade an Evan Ingram.
Package them together.
I don't know what Saquon has left. Maybe you trade a Saquon. You might not get a 3rd or 4th round pick for these guys.
Yeah.
Especially Saquon. But you're going to get something for him.
I think you can get a second.
Like,
round.
I would take a 3rd round pick for Saquon.
I think you'd at least get a 2nd round pick for Saquon.
I don't know, man. I mean, since his rookie year, he hasn't played more than 50% of the games.
I just think if you're an organization, it's not smart to just be like, here's a 3rd round pick, take Saquon.
Because you can find a good player for the 3rd.
Yeah, that's where the Giants, I feel, are handcuffed, though, too, because I think they want a 2nd. Maybe they can't even get a 3rd. Who knows?
Yeah.
Like, they want a high value because of where they got him at. And if you were to ask them in hindsight, obviously, I don't think they'd stretch that high on him, but it's hard to say, too, because, again, Jonathan Taylor came from a system at Wisconsin that was Their offensive line's probably arguably the biggest in the Big Ten, if not the country.
Every year.
And then the Colts. But it's like Jonathan Taylor is also a beast too. So how much of it is like talent with Saquon? They always talk about his talent, but then being able to stay healthy, plus what you have to work with around.
Yeah.
But Ace and Tyler, you got to remember something. The NFL draft isn't like the NBA or like our baseball. You know, baseball and NBA is the first round. That's where you get majority of your best players. The NFL draft has been getting to the point where you're getting steals in the third and fourth and even fifth rounds.
100%.
I mean, you're seeing more players starting, especially this year, that have got drafted later rounds.
Yeah.
Talent in the NFL is getting better because of look at all these teams in college. The players that are coming out of these organizations,
especially with analytics too, and that's the whole thing about taking a running back early. I can guarantee you there are some organizations that it's like you walk into that boardroom, it's a no-go. We're not touching a running back in the first round or some, like, I'm sure it's just like that now more than ever.
Look, I remember going to high school football games when I was a youngster way back in the day, you know, back when black and white TVs were still around. But I remember if you saw a quarterback throw the ball one or two times a game, you were impressed. Everything was hand off the wishbone and all and everything like that. Now you go down and look at these kids that are playing. That kid from the Manning kid,
Arch Manning.
I mean, the kid. I mean, you see him throwing for 3,000 yards in high school football. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The game's changed. Definitely changed.
The game has definitely changed. You see a lot more running backs turn into receiver backs. My last take on the Giants is
Gettleman's got to go.
you think about who's that quarterback, right? You talk about one-dimensional. Mike Glennon's your quarterback. When's the last time he started? How easy is it for a hot Dolphins defense to say, let's load this box? All they really got, Saquon, you take him out of the game or make Mike Glennon throw, make his pass beat us. Look, we got Saquon at 55 yards rushing. Giants only scored 9 points.
55 yards, it's low.
11 carries.
11, but it's still averaging it's averaging 5 yards a carry, which is
I'm just saying
good
they took
in the
Saquon
NFL.
out of the equation.
But the thing is you got to look at the offensive coordinators too. You know, I scream at my TV every Sunday because of what some of the plays are being called.
That's a great point. I 100% agree with you. Look at it. If I'm an offensive coordinator for the Giants, put on my wish list or my bucket list dream job, like put that on. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be as realistic as possible. At some point, we're gonna be down in this game, but getting Saquon, our best player at this point, the ball in open space wherever has to be key. And 11 rushes for the whole game just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, players like Saquon, Alvin Kamara, they kill you out of the backfield. You get a linebacker on them. You do RPOs with these guys. Yeah. I mean, you get them one-on-one with a linebacker, it's going to kill you all day long.
And so that's where play calling, I completely agree with you. That's where you got to look at it realistically as a play caller and just be like, okay, this is what we have. It's a likely, I'm trying to think of a game where they end up I guess the Jaguars. The Jaguars kept it close in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, they
got blown out.
At least they kept it close in one half, where it's like you want to at least run the ball, try to manage clock, do something, because you know you're going to be down. So you got to think of ways to, but probably a bad example because the Jaguars are the Jaguars. But, you know.
Well, I guess we'll stay in NFL now that we're already in NFL. We'll go into college football after that. Obviously, I guess we'll dissect the Saints at Dallas game first because they played on Thursday night, and then we'll get into the disappointing Minnesota loss. Saints played Dallas, obviously very interesting, hard-fought game. I think the final score is 27-17. I'll let you take your take on it first. What do you think about the Dallas's offense, Dallas team in general?
I think Dallas sucks. I really do. And I think Dallas is in trouble. If Dallas drops the bomb and loses to Washington, this division is wide open. I mean, I don't know what happened to the Cowboys, and I don't know if the offensive line, for one, you can see they're not in sync. They keep making so many different changes to the offensive line. They took Connor McGovern, put him in there. They're not getting into the secondary as far as blocking. They can't run block. Zeke and Pollard can't go anywhere. I mean, we had 3 rushes for 73 yards on the outside, but up the middle, we're not getting anything. And you see the rust in Dak, and I don't know if it's because of his injury. He just looks scared. I mean, he's been getting hit a lot.
Yep.
He's not a running quarterback no more, and he doesn't look like he's comfortable and confident in his throws anymore. I'm nervous. I'm scared because and the play calling too. Kellen Moore, what the hell are you doing anymore? I mean, we aren't the team that put 30 points up easily. It's a struggle, and it's very scary.
I agree. I think Kellen Moore at the end there, where he gave us 3 more chances with 6 minutes left, where he could have ran the ball out.
Unheard of.
I think
Oh,
I think
gosh,
and I heard Pat McAfee talk about this, and I kind of understood it. I think he was like, Kellen Moore's obviously smarter than all 3 of us here.
Yeah.
I think in his back pocket, he's like, all right, I think he's like, I have this play where if Dak makes this throw and we go down the field, that's the dagger. But obviously it didn't happen.
Yeah, but the thing that killed
And
me
it was
is
3 times. Why didn't they try and run the ball at that point?
and on first down they got 5 yards. It was 2nd and 5.
Yeah.
And they threw the next 2 times.
And I get it too. Zeke was struggling. We held Zeke to 45 yards rush and put Pollard in at that point. Let him run the ball. This is my take.
Vikings,
Go ahead.
speaking of real quick, the Vikings had a chance to close out this game against the Lions too, and elected to pass the ball too instead of running it to score the touchdown.
Yeah.
So we took the lead though.
I think they were looking. I think both teams were looking for the dagger.
Sure.
This is my interesting take on the Saints in Dallas.
First of all, I wasn't impressed with Dallas at all.
So I wasn't impressed with Dallas either. I think Dallas is in trouble if they don't get it together.
I agree 100%.
Time of possession, Saints had 31 minutes, Dallas had 28. Total yards, Saints had 405, Dallas only 377, and we averaged about 5 more plays than you. My thing is, gosh, I texted you and Noah this too. I said if the Saints had a quarterback, I think not even a quarterback. So this is my problem. I think Taysom Hill was forced to throw so much. I mean, Ingram had like maybe 30 yards rushing. I watched Kenny Stills drop a beautiful dropped-in pass that would have got us down the 2-yard line, and then your cornerback makes a insane interception. All right, and I was that's huge.
But Taysom Hill, I mean, he's a beast. If Taysom Hill doesn't hurt his hand on like the first drive of the game,
I had a lot of people say, "Oh, it's just a it's just a splint that shouldn't affect him." He was
broke his
hurting. He
finger.
was hurting.
dude, I give him credit.
Did you see the spiral that first drive when we scored? I was like, "Wow, the Saints have a chance." And then I heard Taysom Hill's in the tent. I said, "Wow, that's the story of the Saints' whole season."
First of all, how many quarterbacks have either one of you seen that has a splint on his throwing finger,
And stays in
on the
game.
top of his finger, and still stays in there and throws? And then
Maybe Brett Favre.
but then they run. I mean, he ran how many of those
101
plays?
yards.
But how many rushing plays did he do in a row, and we couldn't stop him?
Yeah. I think, the last 6 minutes of the game, I think he really tried to force us to get on the field. You saw he threw 3 picks in the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. The one,
Yeah.
I'll give Dallas defense credit where it's put. Your defensive lineman, insane pick. You don't see that often. He
No,
picked that ball off
no.
Taysom Hill and he ran. I think,
Does
gosh,
he start? Do you think he starts?
I
next week,
do.
the
This is
rest
why
of the season?
I say yes. I think if Trevor Simeon's in the game, he's not as athletic as Taysom Hill. You saw, right? We didn't just have 2 regular offensive linemen out. We had 2 of our all-stars out.
Yeah.
And you had D. Lawrence and Micah Parsons running through our offensive line like it was nothing. I think if Simeon's in there, he gets sacked 30 times. No exaggeration. I think when you put Taysom Hill in at the quarterback situation, you have him. He's able to run out and make a play happen. If not, he can run. You saw it, 101 yards. He hurdled a defensive defender. I think you're paying him this money. Why not try? You have 5 games left. One versus the Bucks, that could be a loss, and then you have the Jets, the Falcons, the Carolina Panthers. I think you groom Taysom Hill. See how he plays. You're paying him all this insane contract you've given him, right? See what he could do. If he doesn't shine in these 5 games, we move on. You keep him in the offense, obviously.
2 things now, and then Ace will get into your Minnesota. Since week 9, in the NFC East, Washington's 4-0. The Eagles are 3-2. Dallas is 2-3. Just so you know, okay? Dallas had played 3 games.
Wow.
I think it was 3 games in 12 days, or something like that. It was a crazy stat. But now we get 10 days off. The last time we had 10 days off, we won 6 straight games. The thing that I'm hoping turns Dallas around is Amari Cooper was coming off COVID. He was limited, so he didn't play much.
Maybe he played well.
Our offensive line is hard, but you can see Zeke is hurting. Zeke has got to sit for at least 2 weeks. I mean, the guy was limping in the game. Why do you have him in there for throwing downs? And the biggest thing that I'm pumped for is, we talked about this before, the Cowboys have used 31 different defensive players this year. We got DeMarcus Lawrence back, Randy Gregory's coming back, and Gallamore's coming back to fill the void in the middle. We're going to have a solid defense going into Washington, which we're going to need. You know, you got Randy Gregory, who's having a great year. DeMarcus Lawrence, who had 6 pressures in his first game back. Then you have Micah Parsons, who is our version of J.J. Watt, since the Cowboys didn't want to take J.J. Watt or T.J. Watt. We took Taco Charlton instead of T.J. Watt.
That's probably defensive player. Not even rookie defensive player of the year. That's probably defensive player of the year right there.
And this
Dang near close.
This
yeah.
next set of runs for us, it's huge because we're playing the East. And if you think about it, the Eagles messed up by losing last week to the Giants. If they beat the Giants, they're 1 game behind us.
Yeah, because they beat the Jets this week.
Yep. And the Eagles have their bye. We have Washington. It's not going to be easy. Then we play the Giants. Then we play Washington again. And then we play Arizona.
Wow.
If we lose any of those 3 games before we play Arizona, because I have Arizona as a loss, that Philadelphia game is going to be for the division.
Yep.
How crazy is that?
That's
crazy, man. That's
you
crazy.
do not want that.
And I was
either.
looking good. I said that we're going to win by division by what,
Yep.
3 games, 4 games, and we had that?
You know what I
Yeah.
think's even
Okay,
more
Fro,
crazy is
do
the
you wanna-
NFC. NFC's wide open right now. What did we say before the podcast started? I think there's 4 or 5 teams that are 1 game behind the 2 wildcard spots.
Yeah, and there's like 3 more that are only 2 out.
Yep.
And that brings
Speaking
us
of
to you,
Eagles,
Ace.
Do you want to? Well, real quick.
I
Do
can
you want to
get,
get to the Gardner?
yeah, I
rant?
can give my
The
Eagles
random
rant. Last thing I'm going to say, I give Dallas credit. They got the win. I'm still predicting the Saints.
He's giving him more credit than I am.
I had something I wanted to say, but I can't remember. I know that. I wanted to say that I think the Saints defense, if they're going to go make the playoffs in these last 5 runs, it's going to be our defense. We held Dallas on 3rd down. I think Dallas was 3 for 13 on 3rd downs. Our defense is too good to not take a shot at the playoffs here. But
Yeah.
Minshew, jean shorts, sunglasses mania shines against the Jets. 33-18 win. I believe he put up. They put up 400 plus total yards. Offense only had 1 punt. Minshew had I think he had like an 80% completion rating. And this is what I wanted to say. There's probably a lot of Eagles fans out there that are like, oh my gosh, here we go. No more Jalen Hurts. We're going to throw Minshew mania in there. And to those Eagles fans, I'm going to say straight up, you guys are idiots. I get it, right? Minshew, I like Minshew's story. I love the guy. I love everything he brings to the table. He played decent in Jacksonville. He had no help at all, and he played decent. I don't know, he got 1 win, right? The guy played with his heart. You see in Philly, right? Philly doesn't have the greatest weapons. They have more weapons than the Jaguars, and look what Minshew Mania did. He drove down the offense like it was nothing, but they played a terrible defense in the Jets right now. Hurts has 2,435 passing yards this year and 13 touchdowns. He's 10th in... Is that your phone ringing? You getting a call?
Yeah.
All right, well...
Oh, that's all right.
It's okay.
We'll keep it in.
We'll keep it in for
post
now, right?
For post outtakes.
It's declined.
When Hurts is in center, the Eagles are 10th in points per game. Let that sink in. All right? 10, that's not bad at all. Everyone's trashing on Hurts. I saw, I had another crazy stat that was really good. Since he came back or something like that, he was like the number 1 quarterback in completion percentage.
I think he's second for
Really?
He's second right now in
Do you?
percentage for passes on the run or something like that.
Yeah,
I
so-
forget, some weird stat.
Now they're going into a bye. I don't know.
I think the Eagles.
I really
That's
don't.
a good
yeah.
problem to have.
It is, right? I don't really know the extent to Hurts' injury. I don't even know what he's injured with.
But they lost Sanders again.
I just think
Yeah.
there was an old NFL coach that just came out recently and said, he was actually speaking on behalf of Hurts. He goes, it's a shame that you don't see in NFL, they don't give players time to develop like we used to in the old days. Nowadays, there's coaches that are getting cut after a year, quarterbacks getting cut after a year, 2 years. You have to let a guy develop. Hurts didn't make his official start until 1 year ago this week when Wentz played a terrible game and Hurts got the start against the 10-2 Saints and won. You got to give a guy to develop. I think Hurts is their best option right now. You think about it like this. You want to build a Super Bowl team, who you building around? You building around Hurts or you building around Gardner Minshew?
How? Okay, I am so glad the rant is on Minshew because no joke. I woke up this morning. I didn't tell you guys this before we started. I woke up this morning. The first thought that popped into my head was, I'd rather have Minshew over Cousins right now to start the year next year. That literally was my thought waking up. And it's no disrespect to Cousins. I just looked at the age. I looked purely at the age and I was like, dude, that dude's only 25 still.
Yeah.
If we can get if we could just start over after what I had to witness against the Lions, I'm like, oh God, I'd love to see the Vikings with Minshew.
But you know what's impressive about Minshew? The guy was 20 of 25 with a passer rating of 133.7 off the bench. That's
Dude,
crazy.
And that's my argument, right? I'm not dissing Minshew. I think Minshew can be a good quarterback. I just think the Eagles should stick with what they have because if now they come out of this bye, right? Say Hurts is 100% healthy, and they go, we're starting Minshew. Your relationship with Hurts is ruined.
Yeah, the only
you
thing
gave him the keys when Wentz left, and you're just gonna blow him like that.
The only thing about Minshew is his receivers won't like him. The tight ends are gonna love him because he loves his tight ends.
He threw to Rieger. He threw to Rieger a lot too.
1 for 7.
You see, Rieger got more snaps.
Rieger had another. Rieger's in trouble in Philly. They don't. You've been dropping balls, but Devontae Smith.
Pack your bags.
Devontae Smith only had 2 for 15. He was only targeted 4 times. Rieger's only targeted once.
This is number one. I don't know if you guys saw the video of Gardner Minshew hugging his dad and pushing his dad like they were just about to do a power lift. That was amazing. I love it. I love the guy. Don't get me wrong. This is the best thing, right, that could happen for Minshew because you know how we were just talking about that there's not a lot of QBs in this upcoming draft? I heard reports, right, this could be a very good year for someone like Mitchell Trubisky, Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew, right? Guys that you have Mitchell Trubisky that just spent 2 years with Josh Allen, right? There's going to be a lot of teams this year that need a quarterback. Not a lot of big free agents, not a lot of people in the draft. So you're going to start looking for options, right? Wow, Gardner Minshew went 20 for 25. That one game with the Eagles, maybe we should pick him up and try him out.
And he's cheap.
He's cheap, right? And you could be like, wow, Mitchell Trubisky, he took the Bears to the playoffs 3 out of 4 years, whatever he did. He was learning with Josh Allen. Maybe we should go give him a shot. Marcus Mariota, you got to start exploring options because there's not a lot of options to go with right now.
The thing about the Eagles, and then we're going to get to you, Ace, about your team. The thing about the Eagles is the last 4 weeks, I think they've been averaging almost 200 yards rushing. They have a lot of good weapons there. They have 3 picks in the first top 15, I think, of the draft.
Yeah, I think they have 3. Yeah.
They have 9 picks in the first 5 rounds, I believe. So
I wonder how much that changes, but still.
This is going to be huge for them. You have to make a decision what you want to do as far as quarterback, but you have the weapons there.
They're still in the playoff hunt. And like you said, they beat the Giants. That division is crazy if they would have won last week.
Yeah.
Well,
Ace.
Moving
Minnesota.
on. Minnesota Viking
God.
plays
I
the
already
Detroit
told you
Lions.
My great morning moments.
Gosh,
rather having Minshew over Cousins.
It would have been great.
Kirk Cousins is probably one of the best quarterbacks in football that they don't talk about.
You know what would have been great?
They're wasting. We are wasting his best years.
It would have been great if we had
calling.
If we had the announcers reaction to Jared Goff scoring, we played it right now.
Let's insert that.
I mean, it's going to be tough to insert, but
Paul
we could if you had the button played. Yeah, and I know you want to talk trash on Kirk Cousins, but he threw for 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
By the way, I'm close to that.
I can't
Ace.
talk trash on him. Wait, say that again.
I'm
Chris?
close. I got a splitter now, so I'm close. I won't have to mute you anymore.
Yeah, fair.
But let's hear it, Ace. Let's hear your side as a Vikings fan. We have people that listen that are Vikings fan. Obviously, Rudy. Take us through your thoughts.
We had 3 of our key. We had Kendricks out, Anthony Barr, 2 of our top linebackers. So I thought it was 3 out. We had Patrick Peterson out, which come to find out today he's got COVID, so he's on the COVID list.
11 NFL players on the COVID list today.
Oh, interesting. I don't know the other injuries to Barr and Kendricks, our linebackers, but what frustrates me is that depth and just play call, just everything.
You need a new offensive coordinator. You need Joe Brady.
Hey,
fair.
Never mind.
Minshew and Brady.
Minshew.
No, Cousins and Brady. I don't like that. That's where I'm disappointed because as a fan, and I'll be honest, yes, I root for them, but to be frank, I lost all credibility after we blew that game against the Eagles a couple years ago. I couldn't trust them anymore. It just was too much. But point is, still being a fan, it's frustrating to watch when, as an ownership group, you can tell that they don't care about winning when we lose games like this. We basically, Zimmer has a little bit better than a 500 record over the 8 years with us, but he's what was it? I wrote it down. He's 24-20-1 against the division in those 8 years.
Wow.
That's not going to get it done against the Lions, the Packers, and the Bears. And
I don't know. How many years does Cousins have left on his contract? It's all guaranteed. I mean, he's got to be.
It's one more. I thought this was his last year, but I'm almost positive he's got next year too.
See, I always
And it's like
defend
30
him.
some mil.
I think he's a great quarterback. I really do. I think he's a really good
I
quarterback.
just don't think he's fitting in with the
I do
Vikings at this
too, but
point.
I just
like,
think it's time for change.
We're fed up. Yeah, we're like the difference is in Philadelphia or in Dallas or in these other states. 1 year, if you're not good the next year, it's like, come on, we got to make a change. Whereas here, they gave Zimmer the benefit of the doubt. First year he went 7-9. Next year he went 10-6. Then he regressed to 8-8. Then we went 13-3. It's been teeter totter every year.
But-
I want to see consistent growth.
But name me one head coach that's a defensive coordinator that is good
Oh, that's a
Defensive
great
coordinator,
point,
that's good.
too.
That's
as a head coach.
Oh, head coach, it never works out.
No,
Wait,
Rex
what
Ryan's
about
soft.
what about Vrabel? Is Vrabel a defensive coordinator?
no, he was a linebacker for New
The
England.
Patriots, yeah. But is he a defensive coordinator,
I don't think he calls.
or does
his
he call
plays.
the? I think he
Tomlin?
calls something. I think it's either offense. I don't know.
Yeah, but-
Tomlin's the only one I can think of that's obviously had the good
Yeah, but
tenure.
but Tomlin doesn't call any plays.
Yeah.
I mean, you see
Well-
Zimmer; he's got the playbook in his hand. You know, you need a walk around coach. You need a walk around coach.
I'll take Kirk
The
Cousins
fact,
in New Orleans.
the fact that
Oh,
like
you be-
I lost.
Kirk Cousins
I
in
lost
New
money on
Orleans
it.
with
with
some
that
good
de-
receivers.
with that defense.
Come on,
With that
Oh.
defense.
it's
Yes.
not Cousins is not the problem.
No.
And I can't stress that enough. I mean, Cousins is not the problem.
If I'm being honest, when I look at the Vikings, I just think I just don't see like the chemistry
There's
with the
no
offense.
consistency.
Yeah, like it's like
Yeah.
there's no fit, right?
First of all, if you look at the score in this game, you guys were trailing 20 to 6 in the
Yeah.
second quarter.
The score does
half.
not.
It
Cousins
was
brought you guys
embarrassing.
back.
Yeah.
The defense
And
has
it's
failed
not
you
like-
guys this year.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like we knew this was a must-win game, and we trot out guys that, like, no disrespect, we trotted out our second-string defense against them pretty much. We had some guys back on the defensive line, but to basically have three of our top key players out in a completely
Yeah.
different cornerback field, like there's some guys that should get let go. Dantzler, Breland. I'm sorry, but if you can't keep up with the talent, like the Lions, like
Yep.
what are you doing?
And we talked.
And Hawkinson, like, how are you going to let Hawkinson score the first touchdown of the game against us
Yeah.
when you know they have nobody else that can beat you?
And we talked last week about how every game's stressful. You can never put a team away. Every game is literally a nail biter for you guys.
yeah,
I mean,
I knew it was going to be.
Yeah, you look at that. You look at that last play too. Like I understand playing.
That was
soft,
that guy's
right?
first touchdown. Now,
Yeah.
Amonra St. Brown.
You
That
talk.
was his
You
first
talk
touchdown.
about playing soft, right? You want to play the end zone there for that. You don't want to score a touchdown. But that was so easy. He
But
did
the
it.
defenders were in the end zone. You got to be on the 1 yard line.
Like,
You
he-
got to keep everything in front
Yeah.
of you.
That they played
Yeah.
so soft. I mean, a simple curl route won that game.
Well, but that's the part that bothers me. Is there? Okay, great point. This gets into, like, to me, coaching philosophies in that Belichick, some of these great coaches will preach in and out, week in and week out, especially early in the season. Let's do this well. If we can do this well, now we can go to something else and just like continually build on the season. You don't see that out of the Vikings. You don't. Not when we go 10-6 1 year, then 8-8, and then 13-3, and then 7 and like you don't see that when your team is going like that. So consistency is a great point. You're not seeing that at all, both sides of the ball.
Yeah, 100%.
Unfortunately, you guys have fallen in the same category as Green Bay when they had McCarthy, the Dallas Cowboys when they had Jason Garrett. The Saints will get there eventually
No.
with their coach.
He'll save
you,
us.
You got to move on. I mean, you can't keep preaching the same game plan from the 80s and 90s. You got to advance and you got
Yes.
to grow.
You know who Sean Payton's gonna be like?
Why do you think Dallas brought in Kellen Moore?
Sean Payton is a Bill Belichick. Look at Bill Belichick last year. It was a big adjustment period when Tom Brady left, and they did terrible.
You're only good
And now
as your
look-
head
now-
coach as your
Yep.
assistants go.
Now
you
look,
need good
now
assistants.
look at them this year, though. Look how good the Patriots are. You give Sean Payton a year to adjust without Drew Brees, and hey, listen, we're still in the playoff hunt, just like Minnesota. We're still in the playoff hunt,
The
baby.
problem is you guys need weapons. I mean, you just have a great
Yeah,
defense.
Yep.
Who we talking
You-
about? Saints.
Saints.
Oh, we
You
just
guys
lost
don't-
another receiver.
You guys don't have an offense, and that's horrible. And I don't even know
It's
if
just our
Winston is your quarterback.
It's truly just the receivers. Think about it. We still got a good running back duo. We have a top 10 offensive line. We just have. I mean, if Michael Thomas comes back next year and we draft one
you
of those
got to get
Ohio
rid
State,
of Michael Thomas. He's a
at this
cancer.
point, you're keeping it. He's not a cancer in the locker room.
Oh my
He's
God.
fine with
Michael
the locker
Thomas
room.
got to go.
You keep him at this point. You got nobody.
He's one of those
Hey.
guys that he sits there and he puts out his little tweets. He puts out his little comments, his little
hey,
emojis.
he's actually deleted a lot of social media.
Well,
He's off of it.
It's probably because of his
Good.
agent.
Hey, listen, when
Yeah.
he was healthy, he's a top 10 receiver.
Absolutely. When Drew Brees was there, underneath.
But you think about
underneath.
We're done talking
okay,
about the
so
Saints. We're done talking about the
Cousins,
Saints.
Cousins last year's next year, and he's got a cap penalty of, you guessed it, $45 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
You see, the cap
Yo.
actually just went up.
How sad are these podcasts going to be if all three of us sitting around at the playoff time and our teams aren't in the playoffs?
It could happen very well.
We're gonna have to switch to NBA, and I do not want to
Talk about LeBron James.
You know, what would be even more amazing? Some of the Saints make the playoffs. They beat Dallas, and then they play Minnesota the next week, and they beat Minnesota, and then they go to the Super Bowl.
See, you wouldn't get Dallas though. You wouldn't get Dallas.
You know, be even better, Ace.
You would get
Minnesota makes the playoffs. They beat Dallas, and then we play each other.
Here we go. All these pipe dreams. You guys need to stay up that reefer.
When I found out we were playing the the Steelers this week on a short week after getting embarrassed by the Lions, like I don't even like.
Oh, you guys play
playoffs are
Thursday night?
obviously Dead.
You guys
The
play
fact that
Thursday
we're
night?
still, the fact we're still talked or considered in the playoff hunt just shows how there's some parity in the league, which is good. But it's like, come on, realistically,
Yeah.
as we talk about week in and week out, there's probably 6 teams that have a legitimate shot, maybe 2 of which potentially are playing tonight.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Either these teams have who has a better shot, or no? How do we want to stick on this? How far do we want to take NFL?
Well, we
down?
talked about the
No, we didn't-
Patriots
we
and
didn't
the
talk about
Bills a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah.
I think both those teams will make playoffs, 100%.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
Yeah, one of them's going to get wild card, and I think the Patriots are going to win the division. I think the Bills are going to get wild card. That's my pick.
Ooh, if the Bills would be a sneaky, especially with the problem is if they can't learn how to run the ball, it's hard to trust them to come out of the wild card spot or even as a division favorite.
My thing too is
So
I
I
don't
agree
care.
with you, Ty.
I don't care about your record. If you make playoffs is a whole different thing. How many times in baseball did you see the San Francisco Giants make the wild card? They were the complete underdogs. They won the World Series both. Was it 3 times that they were the wild card? I know it happened twice that they made the wild card. They won the World Series. Playoffs is a different atmosphere. You could have 5-6 wins and you can go win that Super Bowl.
Yo, isn't Big Ben retiring? Isn't that the
No,
rumbling?
so there's a lot of rumors that he's been telling people in
he
his
retire?
bubble that he's not going to come back to Pittsburgh next year. And my thing is
He's
like,
not going anywhere.
Yeah, who are you going to? But apparently he's going to tell everybody at the end of this year whether he's going to continue with the Pittsburgh
Can it be
Steelers or
next
not.
week? Or sorry, in 2 days? Can it be before this game?
I mean, they're still in the
Against the
playoff
Vikings?
hunt. Don't get me wrong, but like I really feel like you should give Haskins or Rudolph a chance here because Big Ben is not coming back next year. I mean, Haskins is a former first-round pick.
Yeah.
Why not give him
Maybe
another shot?
Haskins.
Yeah, why not give him another shot?
Yeah, Rudolph, I think, squashed away his.
Rudolph isn't bad. He's not great. I don't think he would be an elite quarterback, but he did get them wins when Big Ben was out.
Sorry, Gibby. Pittsburgh, no matter what you look at, the Pirates, the Penguins, and now the Steelers, it's just...
That's a tough outlook.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Big Ben is just not the guy he used to be, and I think he needs to go. I'm not saying it's all on him, right? But I just think that
They still don't have a very good running game. They need to work on the offensive line.
Harris,
If this is a less Pouncey in those guys. It's not the same line. The defense is stepping up. I mean,
I don't watch enough of the Steelers.
Watt's a beast.
I don't watch enough of the Steelers to put a full opinion. Watt is a beast.
what
He's
does he
good.
have? 14 sacks in 10 games or something like that?
I can
It's
tell you,
like-
Trey Henderson's leading the NFL, and the Saints let him go this
crazy.
offseason.
But I don't know. I mean, look at it like this. It's going to be one of those years where it's going to come down to the last week of the season to see who gets in and who. There are going to be so many different scenarios when if this guy loses, that win, you get in, and it could be a Cowboys team trying to get a wild card. Who knows?
Yeah. Well,
Crazy. Oh my God.
let's talk about it.
I don't even want to talk about
no,
that.
No. I want to get into Michigan football, baby. I want to get into it.
College football.
College
playoffs.
football, right? Michigan goes in, right? Who did we play again? Oh yeah, we played Iowa, baby. Iowa. What was the final score? 42-3. That's what it was, baby. We destroyed them. Iowa, who had a great defense. Michigan starts off hot. Some trick plays. Running back throwing a touchdown to a wide open receiver.
Iowa's tough.
Let me tell you, Michigan wins 42-3 at the number 2 spot. Number 1, Georgia loses. You would think that Michigan would jump to number 1, Ace.
No.
Did they? No.
You would.
No, because the pollsters don't want to see that.
You know who jumped to number 1? The number 4 team, Alabama. They somehow jumped over Cincinnati that
With
won.
2 losses.
And they somehow jumped over Michigan, who won.
And
Please,
you know what's
please,
sad?
somebody explain to me how that works.
Alabama played New Mexico State 2 weeks ago. I mean, come on. Why were they even fourth?
Yep.
I don't get it.
I heard this whole thing, well, Georgia.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, Georgia just played Alabama, so we can't have Georgia play Alabama
No,
again.
and that's exactly
I don't
why they
give
did
a
it.
crap.
That's exactly why they did it.
I don't care. So Michigan wins. They're number 2. Georgia, who was number 1, they lost. Please, I wish I could sit down with someone and they could explain to me how a number 4 team jumps over 2 teams that won. Is there some kind of cheat there?
Well, before we get into this, all I got to say is get used to this 4-team process, because as of yesterday, the commissioner from the Big 12, Bob Bowlesby, said that the expansion from 4 to 12 could be in jeopardy. Said time is running out on the contract, and if changes don't get made, they'll be forced to stay with the 4-team process and set up until they figure out some kind of a plan.
Guys.
This was all set to happen 2024, and they still can't agree on it. They're
just making a mockery out of this. Nobody. I don't want more bowl games. I want more teams in the playoffs.
But they're
you can
fighting.
Watch good football.
They're fighting over automatic bids. Like if an ACC team is like crap, do they automatically get into the playoffs? Which I understand that.
Yeah.
Don't go by automatic bids. Go by the freaking standings. Go by the rankings.
Start ranking people in a serious manner. Stop worrying about money and views.
But yeah, and that's where long term you're gonna get this where you divide it up between 5 to 6 conferences, and you schedule games around those. So like you have a Power 5 or a Power 6, like they talk about, whatever.
Yeah.
And you combine Pac-12, the Big 10, the SEC, the ACC, all these major players. But then the problem is schools like Cincinnati then long term are thinking, do I have to jet from my program that I'm in now? Does my football program have to join the Big 10? Yeah. But the rest of them is in a different, that's where it's going to get so tricky down the road.
Yeah.
And the thing that bothers me is it's like you're coming up with these cupcake bowl games that nobody's going to watch.
They're not important anymore.
Yeah.
It should be as simple as this.
They're losing importance to it.
This should be as simple as this. There's 25 ranked teams, right? And you're telling me out of 25 ranked teams, you're going to have 4 playoff teams.
Yes. Yeah. What is the ranking?
Is that even 25%? No.
It's just there are ways to do it. It comes down to the mighty dollar, like everything else. I mean, let's face it. This I said this before. This happened a few years back when Ohio State was 1, Michigan was 2, and it came down to a 2-point conversion or something like that, and Michigan lost. And instead of keeping them ranked 1 and 2, they said, nope, we're going to move Michigan out and put somebody else in for the national championship. They don't want to see Alabama and Georgia battle. Let's face it.
I think it'd be good. It'd be a rematch.
They don't want to see Alabama lose. And that's what it comes down to.
What should the seeds be? Number 1, I think
Michigan, hands down.
Michigan, number 1.
I think it should just
Who's
be
number 2.
I think it should be Michigan, Cincinnati, Alabama, Georgia.
I disagree. I think number 2 should be Georgia. I think number 3 should be Alabama.
But Cincinnati won, though. So how fair is it to Cincinnati? They won.
But Cincinnati's not a Power 5 team. I think Cincinnati should stay at 4.
See, now this is where the playoff seeding is going to be difficult because we're having this argument right here.
Yeah, I still look at they don't even want Cincinnati in there. I mean, they have Alabama as almost a 14-point favorite. I mean, that's a slap in the face. Cincinnati and Georgia and Michigan are 3 of the top 5 scoring defenses in NCAA.
I think you could have kept Alabama at 4. If you think about it, you could have kept Georgia at go down to 2. Michigan could have went to 1. Cincy could have stayed at 3 because they won.
It's then still you still get Michigan versus Alabama.
I think too, if you do open playoffs, say 12 teams like they want to do, you think about how harder these teams are going to fight to get into those 12 spots. You get teams that get ranked, right? And they're happy with that. But if you can get that 12th spot.
But I guarantee you, if they opened it to 12 teams, when Alabama lost to Texas A&M, who wasn't ranked, Alabama wouldn't have fell to 4. They would have fell to like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is, if you look at it, we've been talking about this for weeks now. They have been keeping Alabama around for this reason. They need Alabama in there. I mean, for some reason, they're in bed with them.
It's funny is Michigan was at 4 and they would have won. They would have stayed at 4.
If Michigan would have lost to Iowa, Michigan would have been 10th.
100%. 100%. If Alabama would have lost, they would have stayed at 4. It's just stupid.
You know what would have happened? And I guarantee you this. If Michigan would have lost, Ohio State's 5. Ohio State would have made it back in.
They would have moved.
Yeah.
I can't stand these standings sometimes. When my brother said, he said, "Wow, they're gonna keep Michigan at 2." I said, "No, that can't be real. That doesn't make sense. Like, you could explain this concept to somebody that doesn't even know anything about football, and they would probably agree that doesn't make sense. Like, if I won, why would I not go to 1?
The number one. So you're telling me number 1 lost and number 2 won, huh?
But number
Number
4
4
went to
is
1.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And you think about it, Michigan beat Ohio State. You know, and they played Iowa, it wasn't a pushover.
And didn't Alabama lose to an unranked team?
Yeah.
And who did Michigan lose to?
I think so,
Michigan
yeah.
State,
Who was
was
ranked.
4th or 5th at the time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, that was a top 10 matchup.
It's
Yeah.
just that's crazy.
But I mean, sadly, you're right. They're in bed with the SEC, not just Alabama, which is why
Somebody call them up. Somebody call college.
Look,
How many years straight have there been 2 SEC teams in this final playoff? So I mean, basically since they started the college playoff, right?
Well, you think for like the last 4 years, it's been Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, and another team.
Yep. Clemson's not even
That's
ranked.
how it's
Clemson's-
been.
LSU,
Maybe Oklahoma.
Notre Dame, LSU, Oklahoma every now and then.
There's players decommitted from Clemson now. Michigan just got a guy that they really wanted. Decommitted from Clemson. Sucks.
Well,
they're not even ranked.
You know that kid we were talking about that left high school early who got paid $3 million for his likeness, and he went to Ohio State?
Yes.
He left Ohio State.
Was he starting?
Really?
No, he sees what's going on with that Stroud quarterback. He had a great year, and he's like, well, I want to play now.
Who's Stroud?
C.J. Stroud, the quarterback for Ohio State, had a phenomenal year. So this kid who left Texas, who got $3 million for his likeness contract, he's now leaving Ohio State and going wherever he wants to go now. It's wide open.
Wait, why is he leaving Ohio State?
Because he's not going to start. He's not going to be the quarterback there. C.J.
Oh,
Stroud's
he's a quarterback.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This kid left high school early to commit to college.
How about
Yep.
How about that Michigan freshman quarterback that came in through that
McCarthy.
Hail Mary?
Yeah, that
That
was a
guy
shot.
has a cannon.
Well, look, it comes down to this.
No matter what, Michigan's winning it all. How about that?
Like I
That's the
said,
bottom line.
You know, they already have Alabama as a 13-point favorite. They already have Georgia as a 7-point favorite.
Who are we playing?
Georgia.
We're playing Georgia
This is a Cinderella.
Michigan's playing Georgia?
This is a Cinderella season for Michigan. Yeah.
this week.
No, not until like
No.
January or end of December.
So
Yeah, it's
so
like a month from
how
now.
We
does-
play in
how does
we
this-
play in the Orange Bowl, which you know it's gonna be packed with freaking Georgia fans.
how does this work? When this is playoffs now,
right
right?
in their backyard.
Yes.
This is playoffs now.
Yes.
So when do we not play next week?
No. Now you'll start getting all the crap bowls, like all these. There's like 40 different bowls now. Like the Johnny Pencil Bowl will
So the
start. and
Orange
then
Bowl that we play
They'll
in-
work their way up to the Jimmy Tree Branch. You know the good ones aren't till what, like Christmas, after Christmas, like New Year's Days when the bowls really get good.
That's a long time off for your team not to play though.
Yeah. Well, I think there's 42 bowl games or something like that. It's
So-
crazy, which these could all be playoff games right now.
Yeah.
Last week, do you remember you said the pick your nose bowl?
Yeah. I mean, it's
So the Orange Bowl for us is the first round of playoffs,
yes.
and that's not for like another 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think the championship game is in Indianapolis this year.
This is great. You
I'm
know
not
why?
sure what bowl
Yeah.
game
My-
that
Yep.
is.
My girlfriend's friend in Florida, huge Georgia fan. Like, I'm telling you, he's huge.
Oh, it's gonna be packed with
man,
Georgia
If
playing.
Michigan wins, oh man, I can't wait to send that text.
Well,
nice.
it's you know what, the thing is right now they're talking about Cincinnati being upset. Cincinnati has 2 of the best corners
Who are
in
they
college
playing? They're
football.
playing Alabama.
Cincinnati's
They're not-
playing Alabama. Yes.
I hope they beat Alabama.
You know, so
Yes.
the Bearcats, they have 2 of the best cornerbacks in football. They have Ahmad Gardner and Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, Coby.
Rest in peace.
But I hope to God that I hope they upset Alabama. I really do.
I do too.
You know what?
Got a decent running back.
They've been making this big stink about them not being a Power 5 school, and I hope they come in and they light it up. I really do. I wouldn't mind. If Michigan loses, I want to see Cincinnati win the whole deal.
Me too.
I really do.
Absolutely.
Or Georgia. I like
I'm-
Georgia.
I think the line is going to be the key again, and unfortunately, you could probably look as both teams are coming out of the tunnels, which team has a bigger line, and if Alabama, like they likely do, both sides of the ball, they're probably going to romp. Sadly, it's good to have athletes on the outside, but if you have a team that they could just run the ball nonstop against them, who knows? Like they could switch up game plans instead of having Bryce Young throw for 400 plus
Yeah.
yards. Who knows?
I don't know if I've ever seen Michigan play Alabama.
Oh yeah, we lost
That
to them
would
in a
be
bowl game.
great.
Wait. Yeah, we did. We played
lost-
Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook ran all over us.
Yeah, but I went over these stats before. As my dog just opens the door at his nose. We went over the stat before he came on. By the numbers, the Tide are attempting to win their 15th championship of the wire service era since 1936. Their fourth of the CFP era since 2014, and its second back-to-back in 10 years. It really is no one better. You know, they are they are a good minor league affiliate for the NFL if you think about it.
Absolutely.
You know, but
Yep.
if the thing about Michigan is Michigan is going to have to develop a run game against Georgia's tough defensive line. Alabama, they beat them because they threw the ball, and the only time Michigan really had to throw the ball a lot was against Michigan State, where our quarterback had over almost 400 yards passing. If we can develop a run game and a pass game,
Have that running
all
back
we
throw the
have
ball
to
again.
all we have to do is stop their run game. Georgia doesn't really have a passing threat. You know, they really don't. I mean,
Yeah.
we our corners can match up well against them. If we could stop Ohio State's freaking three receivers that are going to go to the pros,
That's true.
I think we can hang with Georgia. The problem is we got to get pressure on the quarterback. We can get pressure on the quarterback and defend the run.
I can't believe it's in Georgia.
It's not.
The one thing that-
it's in Florida.
Oh, you said the Orange Bowl.
It's the Orange Bowl.
Oh,
in Florida.
guys, when is this game?
I just wish there
I
was a little
don't
bit
know.
of
It's like
snow.
you got to look. It's like the
Should
end
I-
of
should
December.
Should I fly down and try and get some
Maybe.
interviews?
Go ahead. You want to try to get tickets for that game? Good luck with that.
Should I try and get some interviews down there? Like
No,
pull a little
no,
mic out.
don't-
Hey,
don't
Kate,
go-
Everything Goes podcast. I get a couple questions.
Correct. Yeah, don't get into the stadium. Just ask people outside.
You know what I'll do is I'll print one of those fake IDs out like I'm a reporter. I'll sneak my way in. You see that on TikTok. I'll sneak my way in and be like, yeah, Everything Goes podcast. Yeah, Everything Goes podcast. Yeah, I'll walk. Next thing you know, I'm in the
We'll make-
locker room.
yeah.
I'm in the locker room. Hey, yo.
All right, let's make our projections. Who do you guys got
Who? For what?
for this playoffs?
Playoffs? I have Michigan going all the way, baby. Michigan versus Alabama. That's what's going to be.
Go ahead, Ace.
Feel stupid not to say Alabama.
I think, yeah.
Sadly,
I
like,
know.
it's so. I hate saying that, but they just have such a pipeline, like you mentioned. It's hard.
I think they could lose. I think they could lose, but I don't think they're going to.
Go blue, baby.
Hey,
Go
baby.
blue.
Look, I'm a realist. I hope the guy. If we can get by Georgia, I think Georgia had a letdown game.
Yeah.
I really do.
They
I
almost
think
came back.
Alabama got shit lucky. If Michigan can get by Georgia, I think we win it all. I do. I think we win it all.
Where's the second one? Where's the championship game at this year?
If Michigan doesn't get by Georgia, I think Georgia it's gonna be Georgia Alabama again.
Where's the championship game at? Anybody know?
It ends up in
Where-
Indianapolis.
is it Indianapolis?
Indianapolis,
Right
yeah.
where we were last week, baby.
Because Harbaugh's in the Ring of the Ring of Honor there or something like that. One of the articles I said.
Let's go blue, baby.
Yeah, and that's where we just won the Big Ten championship, so it would be nice. So,
Let's go.
but I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see. But
Yeah, no kidding.
I have no random rant today.
Me neither. I gave mine on Gardner Minshew.
Yours was Minshew, and mine was my revelation of thinking that I'd rather have him than Cousins first thing this morning.
This is a good place to stop it.
Oh,
No, hey, real quick.
real quick. Go ahead, Ace.
Yeah, I was gonna say shout out to Tony Oliva, twins, two Twins players got into the Hall of Fame MLB. Tony Oliva, great. I love that dude. Absolutely love him as a human. He started actually a Latin League baseball here in Minneapolis, or he's kind of like one sort of behind the scenes that a couple friends of mine play on every Sunday now for like a handful of years.
They need some extra help.
Huge presence that's grown. There's a huge Latin baseball presence here, and
I'm
so
ready.
it's fun to see Oliva still in the community, getting his nod for the RBI program, whatnot, henceforth with Latin baseball, and Jim Cott, a Twins pitcher. So
Let's go.
Tony,
Look at the Twins. Look at the
Tony O,
Twins,
the
man.
shortstop.
None of the cheaters got in. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Kurt Schilling. You know what? The thing that aggravates me, Kurt Schilling is a great pitcher, man. Just because of his political views, man, and he is outspoken in his views. You know, just like Pete Rose. Pete Rose, I don't care what he did as a manager. You got to put him in for what he did as a player.
Oh my
You know
gosh,
what?
I know.
Charlie Hustle belongs in the Hall of Fame. He really does.
Charlie Huss.
You know, you can't take away the amount of hits that guy had. He belongs in the Hall of Fame.
That's
And
God. But if he bet while he was a player, or if he was a coach on the.
But
like,
he
who
never
knows if
bet
he
against his team. He bet for his team. I mean, if he bet against his team
Yeah,
and he changed the lineup and threw games, that's a different story. He bet on his teams. So I don't know. It depends. I mean, look at the NFL. I mean, when these kids were young, we did a tour of the Eagle Stadium, and they had gambling signs all over the place. How bad it was. Now you look, the NFL promotes gambling.
FanDuel, baby.
Yeah, there's sports books.
I mean, you can gamble on a game in the last 2 minutes of the game.
I don't know about that one.
There's open gambling throughout the whole game.
Wow.
So that's a crock of crap. I mean, they got to get him in there before he passes away. I mean, come on. I mean, and that's the thing about the MLB Hall of Fame. It's crap, the MLB. It's all these writers who have pencils up their ass, and they don't want to pull them out because they don't want to look at stats. They just got a bug for somebody. And even Bonds. Bonds never failed a drug test.
My thing with Bonds, too, is I get it, right?
Oh.
Like, if you think he takes steroids, like, I get it. You want people that played the game the right way. But even though he took steroids, that man still had to play the game. You think taking steroids helps you hit a ball? I mean, it helps you hit it further, but...
Tell me you can't add a wing
That's
of the
fair,
Hall of Fame
yeah.
that has like an asterisk next to it and says, these are the asterisk players, but they were great players. You know what I mean?
It's like the toilet bowl, but for Hall of Famers.
Yeah. I mean, come on. You could just put Hall of Famers with a question mark or something like that, because you know what? At the end of the day... I mean, Clemens, what did steroids do for Clemens besides help him with his injuries? It didn't make him throw faster.
Got him a couple Cy Youngs, though.
Yeah.
But it didn't make him throw faster.
I mean, muscle can help you throw faster.
I mean, what did it help him with?
Muscle.
Plus, and it goes back to, like, baseball is so nitpicky when it comes to, like, etiquette and rules.
Yeah,
and,
it
like,
is.
you can't show another player up and all these dumb things that... eventually, and thankfully, they don't have enough fanfare as the NFL, or else there'd probably be a taunting penalty or something.
It's annoying.
Especially after some of these home
another
runs.
thing too is there's so many different kind of steroids out there. What kind of steroids did they do? I mean, if you got the Mark McGuire needle in the ass and the Jose Canseco needle in the ass, then you know that you were doing steroids. But like if you're using a balm or a cream for injuries, I mean. Roger Clemens, he wasn't like muscles. He wasn't like Barry Bonds, who was skinny in Pittsburgh and became this jacked freaking beast in San Francisco. So, I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't know. You got to stop holding a grudge and look at the stats.
Yeah, I have a grudge though too, because I love Henry Aaron as like an old school player, and the fact that he lost his record to Barry Bonds, who Barry Bonds would have been a Hall of Famer anyways had he not bulked up. Like, he had the stats anyways, but I think he was in that era with McGuire and Sosa and all them where he's like, wait a second, how come these guys are getting looked at? Like the whole 98 Rays, how come I'm just as good as these guys? I'm better than these guys, in fact, and now I'm getting overshadowed. And so I think a lot of it was probably more ego than anything else.
Well, Sammy Sosa, he cheated. He injected, and plus he used cork bats. I mean, he got caught with double cheating. So, but as far as Kurt Schilling goes, Kurt Schilling belongs in. I mean, that guy got 71% of the votes last year, and he'll be the first player ever to get 70+ votes, 70% of the votes, and not get in.
At the end of the day, you two are Hall of Famers in my heart.
Oh, listen to this guy. But that's all I got. I mean, next week's another week.
And these listeners are Hall of Famers in my heart.
The Flyers fired their coach today, so we'll see where that goes. I think there was 3 coaching firings in the NHL today.
It's very interesting.
Oh, wow.
I only saw the Flyers, but I didn't see anything else.
Yeah, so, it's going to be interesting what the Flyers do, because their coach was like 74, 54, and 19. It wasn't like he had a bad record. Fired a GM, Stop going after the coaches first.
No kidding.
Yeah.
They get too much of a leash sometimes, the GMs.
Well, guys, if you got nothing else to say, I will happily dismiss us here.
That was a good one.
This was a good one. Guys, we are very hoping that this video works out, that we can finally get back up on YouTube. You can follow our TikTok accounts, our Twitter accounts, our Instagram accounts. This guy on the other side of the table is always tweeting out some kind of nonsense on the other side.
Love it. Keep it active. And by the way, guys, these views are our views and only our views. You're more than welcome to chime in on any one of our platforms and give us some of your views.
Way to go.
Class dismissed. Class dismissed.
Drop the mic.
That was perfect.
We will see you guys next week. Go Saints, go.
I hope to see all of us in the playoffs.
Woo! Ric Flair. We hope you guys enjoy your night. We'll see you next time.
Peace.